So, like I told you earlier before, folks, I went to the city council meeting and I wanted to address the issue of vagrancy and drug addiction and drug use in the city. And I can only imagine that they weren't too thrilled about that. But they did enforce the 3-minute rule for speaking, which 3 minutes. I've always had a problem with the 3-minute rule, folks. And that's because I think that, look, how is the council or any board or anything like that, where the public speaks, how are these elected officials supposed to know the mind of the people if a person only has 3 minutes to try and convey what's on their mind as it pertains to a serious issue like vagrancy, homelessness, and drug addiction? I don't understand how 3 minutes is adequate. It's woefully inadequate. And I spoke and I heavily curtailed what it was I was saying. In fact, I was just a couple of seconds over the 3-minute mark, but I think I got my point across. But, I'm thinking to myself the whole time, there is so much that could be conveyed to this city council, and maybe there'll be an opportunity later to do that. But like I said, I had to really cut down what it was that I said to the city council. And like I said, I think I got my point across, but I can tell you right now, folks, there might have been one or two people that were kind of interested in what I was saying and how I was saying it. But the rest of them, they were like wallpaper. They were there, but I don't know what they were thinking. I couldn't see any expressions on their face about any of this. Wallpaper. Okay, but anyway, so what I'm doing now is I am going to read to you what I would really like to have said to the city council, and it's probably about 8 minutes or so of thoughts and ideas that really come from all of you who have commented on this and have brought this problem to light on social media. Peter and Susan and countless others who, I apologize, I can't remember all your names, but I have saved your posts and comments. Everything that I'm going to say here is basically the public's contribution to this issue. So, without further delay and without further ado, I will read you what I wanted to read, what I wanted to say to the city council tonight. So, I would like to speak to an issue that has gotten a lot of attention in the last few weeks. This would be the issue of homeless vagrants and the apparent drug addiction and drug issue in the city of Albemarle. Now, the people of Albemarle have brought this issue up before, and I've talked with several of those people who attended meetings and brought these issues up, and according to those people that I've spoken to, the city council seemed pretty dismissive of their concerns. The people's perspective and feeling was that the council and local law enforcement and even other citizens in the city considered this issue a non-issue and of little concern, that the concerns of the people were overblown and exaggerated. And of course, this caused the people who were concerned about this to be a little outraged, especially in light of the fact that they have documented the incidents of public urination at our memorials, public urination in general, drug use in the public, the evidence of drug use in the form of needles by the bucket, and the general nuisance of vagrants causing scenes and disturbing the public peace and tranquility in the city. Once again, in light of the further documented incidents and evidence of a problem that seems to be increasing, the issue has been raised and commented on by the people who see a real problem emerging in the city and in the county. People are concerned, and they're voicing their concerns on social media. If you've seen these posts and have followed the conversations as I have, you'll notice that there are those who recognize there's a problem and those who don't. There are those who are calling for action to mitigate these problems as they see it, and there are those who excuse it or dismiss it or attempt to justify it. And then there's people who simply don't know what to feel about it or how to feel about it. Is it an issue that's overwhelming the city? Or is it a very noticeable and emerging problem that people want something done about before it gets worse? Or is it nothing to be concerned about at all? Personally, I feel that this is an emerging problem and that it's only going to get worse if we don't address it. The problems of drug use and homelessness are not new to Albemarle or the county at large, but it does seem to be more prevalent today than it has been in the past. While there are people who have found themselves losing everything and becoming homeless because of circumstances, many times the predicament is the result of their own choices and actions. Not all of them, but more than the few. And the same is true for drug users. For those who, for whatever reason, are in this predicament, there are programs that should assist them with a temporary place to recover and hopefully get back on their feet. But the effort to recover and get reemployed and work their way out of their predicament is on that individual. And to be sure, there are success stories out there that prove that if you take responsibility and are accountable and make the effort, then you can get out of those situations. For the people who truly wanted to work their way back out of that situation, they worked hard to get back on their feet again with the help of some of the organizations that we have and from other people, from the charity of faith-based organizations and just kind-hearted people. Those stories exist, and they prove my case that if you work your way out of it and are willing to make the effort, you can recover. Right now, I truly wonder if we have any of these mechanisms or processes in place to see these people all the way through. Because for the harder cases, I believe there ought to be programs and mechanisms that see them through a process from start to finish with an end state that benefits them and the city. And I don't think we're doing that right now. Or maybe there's just a lack of interest from these people in taking advantage of the programs that are available. Too many times we observe that the vagrant and drug user, by way of their own choices to be one or both of those things, too often they don't want jobs, they want handouts. And they don't want responsibility, they don't want accountability. And so they continue to receive their benefits and remain on the streets. And that's what they choose to do. And let me be clear here. Homelessness and drug addiction or alcoholism or any kind of substance abuse, these aren't always tied together, okay? It could be one or the other or all of them all at the same time. But increasingly, we are finding that they are tied together. The places where Democrat policies and philosophies were applied, where people sought to address the problems by way of tolerance, and programs that they enacted simply enabled and perpetuated the problems instead of resolving them. It's happened in California. It happened in New York. It's happening in Pennsylvania. And what happens there can happen here. Needle exchange programs, alcohol given by the shot to help the alcoholic programs, Narcan distribution at taxpayer expense. All of that happened in those places. What happens there can happen here. And now those places, they have entire sections of their city that are completely overwhelmed and overrun by the homeless and the addicted. There are solutions to resolving this issue in Albemarle, but the solutions need to involve accountability and consequences, not perpetuating a drug addiction problem by handing out needles as Grace Place does in the city of Albemarle. There needs to be a real effort to get them off the drugs, folks. There needs to be accountability, a true incentive. And I would suggest that perhaps we can enact a program that provides a pathway to employment. And with that, there should be running accountability mechanisms for these individuals for a period of time that will enable the individual to maintain their successes instead of relapsing into failure. If the homeless or the addicted choose not to go through with these programs, take advantage of programs and mechanisms to repair their lives, and take on the responsibility of getting off the drugs, taking on a job, maintaining that job, and becoming a productive member of the community, then why should they stay here? And furthermore, if the organizations that receive money and time from the people in Albemarle, if these organizations do nothing but perpetuate a problem, then why should they be here? It's incumbent upon us to investigate this issue and to seek out programs and organizations that have proven track records of success, and not one of a spotty needle exchange program that does nothing to end the plight of the homeless or the addicted. There are mechanisms and solutions that we can and should develop. The affected individual just needs to take advantage of it. The city and the county would do well to investigate better programs and organizations that have proven success rates in getting people off the street and off the drugs and into the community and into society at large. I don't think we're doing a very good job of that today. Now, faith-based organizations, they're great. They do fantastic work, but they are limited in what they can do. And in the end, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's why, for anything to work, the individual must take on the responsibility and be accountable. And as long as they do, and as long as they are accountable, we and they can succeed. The 501c that are operating under the URA Harm Reduction Initiative operate in other towns and counties as it does in this city. And if you look deep enough, you'll find that this has become an industry whereby a select few run 3 or 4 or more of these programs in different towns and cities and counties and collect paychecks from each of these places. All the while, the drug addiction and the homelessness continue to grow. Now, because these individuals running these programs get paid, I have to believe that it must be by design that the problem grows. Not just in Albemarle, but across the country. The question then becomes, can we solve these problems that we are facing with compassion and care for the individual being helped, along with accountability and personal responsibility on the individual being helped? Well, I believe that the answer is an unequivocal and emphatic yes. To quote President Ronald Reagan, I do not believe in a fate that falls upon us no matter what we do. I do believe in a fate that will fall upon us if we do nothing. We must have the intestinal fortitude to do something different, because what we're doing now doesn't seem to be working. And this is going to require our best efforts and our willingness to believe that this council and the people that it represents, with determined will and with God's help, can and will confront and resolve this problem with fresh eyes and renewed vigor, so that all involved can realize a better tomorrow, right here, down on the ground, in Albemarle, in the good old USA. And that's all I got to say about that. So, that gives you an idea of what I wanted to say to the city council. I had to cut it down to 3 minutes. That was about, 8 minutes? But as you can see, some people might call it verbose. I call it necessary to convey an idea and to convey a concern and to articulate in detail what it is that the people are experiencing and what they're feeling. And I just think that that's so important. And I hope that this message resonated with you. And I'm sure this will not be the last time that we go to city council. Hopefully next time we go to a city council meeting, it'll be more of us there to talk about it. Maybe we can offer a presentation on this issue, But anyway, folks, that was the first shot, and that's the salvo, and I did the best I could. So I'll talk to you soon.